Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing my own nails with the Kiki London rubber base coat. Now off camera I have already prepped my nails, so I will leave the dedicated prep video that I've already got done on the channel in the description box below. And then for my rubber base colour today, I'm going to be using RB03. I don't think I've ever used this one on my own nails before. I often reach for RB06 or RB05, but this colour is absolutely gorgeous. It's a really soft peachy shade and I think it's going to suit the autumn or winter season beautifully. So I have already got my stripe liner brush. I popped this close to hand because I quite like using this one lately to get a nice neat cuticle line. If you don't have the stripe liner brush, you can also do this with your detail brush as well. Now there are a few different ways that you might find people apply rubber base coat. I know I've done a few rubber base coat videos up on the channel, so I'll try and pop some of them in the description box below as well. But today I'm going to show you one of the ways I like to apply it when I'm doing a overlay on my own nails. Now my own nails are in pretty poor condition at the moment. I've really not been taking care of them or my cuticles, so they do look a little bit rough, and that's why I thought they deserved a little bit of TLC. And whenever they are needing a little bit of extra care, I often reach for the rubber base system. So what I like to do when I'm applying my rubber base coat this way is I take my first coat, basically I do super thin and I scrub it in to the natural nail plate. So obviously the nails have already been prepped and I do like to buff the surface of my nail to prep them. So what I'm doing is taking a very small amount of rubber base on my brush, and as you can see I'm really letting that brush fan out. I'm applying a fair bit of pressure to really work it in to the natural nail plate, and I find this gives it really good adhesion if you have got weak or damaged nails. My nails are on the little bit of a damaged side at the moment as I haven't been doing proper removals. I've been rushing and things like that, and then I've just, like I said, I've not been taking care of them. So on this first coat I'll really scrub and work that first coat into the natural nail. I'm not building up any colour with it or any opacity, I'm just getting a really thin first coat down. So I like to let my brush fan out, as you can see, and letting it fan out as we go around the sidewalls, and I'm working it up towards that cuticle area. I like to start slightly away from the cuticle area and then work up towards the cuticle area. This works a lot of the product into the nail, and then you haven't got too much on your brush when you're getting closer to the cuticle. And then I'll come in with my stripe liner brush and get as close as I can without touching any of that skin or cuticle. It's a little bit harder when you are working on small nail beds. You'll see here I'm working on my little finger. When I've got short natural nails, I find my little finger so hard to do because the nail plate is so small. So I'm turning my brush and my hand at different angles to get as close as I can with my brush, but then I'll come in with my stripe liner brush just to neaten everything up. When you are working on somebody else, so when you are doing clients, don't be scared to move their hand into a position that works for you so that you can make sure you are getting your product as neat and as close as possible. Here I just had a little bit of dry skin that it was a little bit, I think, of broken nail underneath, and I was just trying to remove that out of the way. So this is what one thin coat looks like. So as you can see, you can't see too much of the colour coming through, but it's a nice thin application. So I also did the thumbnail off camera, and then I popped these in to cure for 30 seconds, and we're now going to move on to the second coat. Now because I'd done my first coat super thin, I like to do my second coat a little bit thicker. See, I was just showing you guys there, I've picked up like a ball of gel and I've moved it to the very tip end of my brush. So I've pushed my brush against the side of the bottle to move that gel towards the tip end of the brush, and then I float it on. So it's a lot of a different technique to what we did with the first coat. The first coat we're using pressure to get the brush to fan out. On the second coat I'm using barely any pressure with my brush. I'm using a really light gentle touch and I'm floating it on. So I'll float a thin layer on and then I'll come in with a little bit more. I've not added more gel to my brush, I've just popped it into the neck of the bottle so I can move the gel to where I want it to go, and then I'm using the sides of my brush to kind of go from side to side and build up a layer. very similar to how I would do a builder gel overlay. So I work with my second coat quite similar to how you would work with your builder gel. Now, a lot of the time I used to just do a builder gel overlay when my nails were in this kind of condition and I was needing a short overlay, but I'm really preferring to do it with a rubber base coat at the moment. But obviously it's personal preference, and if you have got clients who have got more damaged nails, then that's when you might go in with the builder gel because it is that little bit thicker. So we'll go through this again. So as you can see, I'm just working that gel down a really gentle touch with my brush, and I'm just floating it on. I'm not applying any pressure, and you can see that because the brush isn't fanning out too much. I do apply a little bit of pressure to get close to those side walls, but I do come in at the end with my stripe liner brush, so we'll talk about that when we get there. So then as you can see, I've moved some of the gel that was left on my brush to the tip, and then I'm just working this down the center part of the nail, as I do want to build up kind of like a gentle natural apex, just so that there's a little bit of strength there on the nails. And then once again, we're going to do this on the little finger. So on the little finger, because we're working on a smaller surface, I've taken less gel, rolling it off my brush, and it just effortlessly glides into a ball. This is one of the things that I love about the rubber base coat. It has such an easy consistency to work with. And then I'm just using the neck of the bottle just to move that product on the brush around to get it back down to the tip, and then I'm just working this down the nail. Don't worry too much if it looks a little bit uneven, as it does self-level. And then this is where I'm going to come in with my stripe liner brush, and just taking a little bit of product on the brush, I'm going to kind of guide the gel that's already on the nail a little bit closer to the sidewalls and the cuticles. You don't actually want your sidewalls and cuticles to be as thick as the center part of the nail, so that's why I've only got a very tiny amount of gel on my brush. I'm kind of just guiding what's already on the nails a little bit closer. You don't need to do this step if you have already got your rubber base close to the cuticles without the stripe liner brush. I hope that makes sense. If you've already got your application close with your bottle brush, you don't need to come in with your stripe liner brush. So that is our rubber base coat applied. I wanted to add a hint of nail art to these, and I wanted to go for a bit of a minimalist Christmas look. So I've got the green and red festivities water decals here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these out. Now you want to cut your water decals out as close to the image as possible. And then whilst I'm just cutting this out, I'm going to quickly mention that there is a Nail Art November sale on at the Kiki London website, and there is up to 20% off of all nail art. So it's the perfect time to stock up on your Christmas nail art, or if you're new to nail art, it's the perfect time to reach out and try it. So what I did, I'm applying my water decals in the traditional method. So I've cut my decal out and I've soaked it in some room temperature water for around 10 to 15 seconds. The water decal then gently lifts off that backing paper, and I've just placed it down on the nail, and then I'm kind of using my silicone tool like a squeegee to squeeze out the excess water. We are going to apply some more water decals, so we'll talk about those in a moment, but I want to add a little bit of colour to these nails. So I've got Ivy Forest, Persian Plum and Coconut, and I'm going to pop a small amount of these down on my palette. These palettes are also available from Kiki London as well, and I do find that I use these a lot, even if I'm not doing nail art. So you would have seen when I was doing the rubber base application, I used it to pop some of my rubber base coat down on. And then we're going to take the Kiki London dotting and gem tool, and we're going to be using the dotting tool end, and I'm simply going to dot on all three of the colours. So on the first little line we're going to do, I'm going to do green, white, red. So I've dotted those down. You only want a small amount of gel polish, and I'm wiping my dotting tool off on an alcohol wipe. And then I'm just going to pull my stripe liner brush through to create this cute kind of like little swell look. So we're going to do this again on the tip end of the nail, but we're going to go red, white, green just to mix it up a little bit. And I feel as though these colours just look really wintry without being too full-on Christmassy, because we're only adding a hint of nail art. I know that if you're scrolling through Instagram, it's like everything is in the full swing of Christmas, but some clients might find it a little bit too early. So I feel as though it's nice to start off with a nice subtle Christmas design. So I'm going to do this design on both the ring and pointer finger. I didn't want to do too much nail art on this set because I didn't want to take away from the rubber base colour, because I really liked how that was looking. Now on the second nail, you'll see that it worked a lot better because I applied my dots closer together. So on the first nail when I did it, I kind of left an ever so slight gap between the colours. So when it comes to doing this again, I actually see that it just worked a little bit nicer by making sure your colours are actually touching, so they're nice and close together. And I just did that same pattern as we did on the first nail. I'm going to take my stripe liner brush and just pull through it, and all the time I'm cleaning up my stripe liner brush and my dotting tool by wiping on an alcohol wipe. So here we're going to jump back to applying a couple of decals. So here I've got the Festive bow water decal mix, and I've cut out 2 of these super cute little red bows. And what I'm going to do is, again, I've cut them out as close to the image as possible. I've got a little bowl of room temperature water and I've left them to soak for around 10-15 seconds. And you'll see here that if your water decal doesn't feel quite ready, so I picked it up and it just didn't feel ready enough, as if it weren't going to slide off the paper. If that's the case, just pop it back in for a few more seconds and you'll see it just slides off with ease. And then I was originally going to apply this to these 2 nails, and it just, the image just, I wasn't happy with how it was working. So I placed it down and then was like, no, that's not working. So I lifted it off again with some tweezers and then just gently dipped it back in the water so that it was moist enough to stick on another nail. And then what I decided to do is I would add these to the little finger and the thumb instead. So this one, you'll see here, the backing paper had already fallen off of it where it was in the water for a bit longer. This doesn't matter, it kind of saves you a job in a way. And then again, I've placed it down on the nail and I'm using my silicone tool to squeegee out all of that excess water. Whilst you're doing this, this is what gets any creases out of your water decal as well, and make sure that they're lying super flat to the surface. I find the Kiki London water decals very, very easy to work with. They are strong enough that you can move them around on the nail and apply a little bit of pressure with your silicone tool without worrying about them ripping. But they are thin enough that they look seamless to the nail as long as you give them a good rub with your silicone tool. If you've applied a little bit too much water, you can dab off some excess water with a lint-free pad, or you can just wait a few seconds and you'll find that it usually evaporates. So then we're going to jump to top coating. So I'm coming in with my no wipe rubber top coat, and I'm using my rubber top coat here for 3 reasons. One, it works brilliantly with the rubber base coat to create a all-round rubber strong system. So it's great for anyone with weak, damaged, brittle nails, anyone who's hard on their nails, say for example with their job, things like that. It just applies a really good layer of strength to the nail. 2, it seals in your nail art perfectly. I love working with this top coat over decals, foils, hand painting, because it's that little bit thicker. It seals everything in seamlessly. And then with nail art, if you've done any hand painted nail art and it's left a raised surface on the nail, again, where it's that little bit thicker, it smooths over everything beautifully and gives you a super smooth finish. And then the 3rd reason that we're using the rubber top coat today is because it is a brilliant way to apply your crystals. The crystals as well are also in the Nail Art November sale, so it's a great time to pick up some crystals. I find crystals are quite popular in the Christmas and winter period. So I've applied my rubber top coat to all of the nails, and then I have the Just Ruby crystals. These are absolutely beautiful. And then whilst that top coat is still wet, you're going to place your crystals down into the wet top coat. So again, I've got my dotting and gem tool, and I'm just using the gem waxy end to pick up my crystals, and then I use the dotting tool end just to get them right in the center of that bow. And then you're able to pop them in to cure for 60 seconds. The rubber top coat does have a slightly longer cure time of 60 seconds if you are working with an LED lamp. And then finally, one of the steps that my nails or my skin really needed was the cuticle oil. So I've got the Sweet Peach cuticle oil, and as you see, I've just applied a generous amount of this and I'm really working it into the skin and cuticles. Another thing that I love doing with this cuticle oil is adding a few drops into my hand cream, especially in the colder winter months where your skin suffers a little bit. I know mine is anyway already. So I'm giving that a good rub in, and then this, guys, is the finished result. So I'm going to say they're quite minimalist for Christmas, especially for me, but I really loved how this nail art worked with the RB03. I just think It's a really pretty base shade. So I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description box below to the videos and all of the products that I have mentioned. I've left a couple of photos for you guys to check out. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment below. Let me know in the comments below if you have already started Christmas nails. If you did enjoy today's video and you're not already subscribed, please do hit that subscription button. I upload videos every single Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.